Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of Konnekt Live, where we get up close and candid, live and direct from Prince Drive Garage. Pia leo tuko kwa debe, lakini leo niko peke yangu. So today we are going to have a question and answer session. Brief of the week. On Monday we didn't have an episode, and that was because of all the strikes that were going on. So the episode that was supposed to go live on Monday will go live this Thursday. So you can watch what we had in store for you. It's about tax exemption, especially for persons in diaspora. So it's a very insightful episode. And then this weekend, we also filming something very interesting for you guys. We it's some, I don't want to spill the beans early. But anyway, today we are going to have a smooth, Konnekt Live Wednesday drive, whereby I get to answer all your questions. Also, the Limp Mode podcast is going to make a comeback as well. So it's going to be a fun-filled week. From June, Auto Konnekt itakuwa na content mingi sana, so you will be spoiled for choice. Wasewa reviews. For the past like 1 month, I've been trying to get into more of reality content, whereby you see things like buying cars, kusubject gari kwa kazi. There is one I'm going to do soon about a truck, and that track like for work. Nataka for a while tuanze to focus kidogo on commercial vehicles before we can go back to the normal vehicles. But we also have a very interesting car that will be landing in Nairobi next week, which is a car that many would like to know about. So I'm going to also give you an up close and candid review of the same. Watu wa Eldoret pia mkumbuke, we have a garage pale Pioneer. It's called Neon Mobility. So in case you're in Eldoret, you can pop up to Neon Mobility. In case you're in Nairobi, we can serve you at Prince Drive Garage, Mirema, First Avenue, or pale kwa Suleiman, pale Naivasha Road. So we've got you covered. The whole Auto Konnekt team is here to serve you diligently. Na sasa, remember how we do. Salamu and where you're watching us from, and then we get to the questions. So allow me to switch to the questions. On a harmless level is K from Doni is asking, should we embrace electric cars? Tycoon saying, hello Eric, ndio kuingia sasa. Harmless level, hey Eric, quick question. Can I drive a left-hand drive car from Mombasa to Nairobi? How can I do it safely? Michael Dirango saying, Meru in. Phoebe Manuel, hello. Dennis Kingori tuned in from Embu, is saying thank you for the TIDA review and building some hope on the TIDA and the Note 11. How RVR pros and cons. Kibe is saying hi Bwana Irongo, watching from Mwea, Kirinyaga County, hapa kwa Kiamboyo. Msalimia sana. So I think we should start off with the questions. Na tutaanza na hii swali. It's a very interesting one. Dennis. No, was it Dennis Kingori? There was somebody who was asking about, should we embrace electric cars? Yo swali imeenda wapi? 492 who asked, should we embrace electric cars? Where we are heading, I can say very interesting times ahead. In fact, I've been visiting electric car dealers, for those of you who follow me on Instagram. And the only problem we are having with electric cars currently is the pricing, because they are quite expensive compared to internal combustion engines. But if you can import your own, for instance, Nissan Leaf inakufikia hapa na below 2 million. So if you want to set foot in the EV territory, you can start with a Nissan Leaf. You can also do an e-Golf, as long as you buy them with the battery life still, with some good battery life in it remaining. Are we ready for electric cars? I can say infrastructure will improve as time goes by. So with the fuel problem, and by the way, I also got a question from my Facebook. Somebody asked, should, in case you're buying a vehicle, does a diesel vehicle make sense anymore? And the question should be, I think we should wait and see, because if you remember during COVID times, for the longest time, petrol was more expensive compared to diesel. But diesel vehicles have one advantage, and that is the advantage of consumption, and also the advantage of, their mode of ignition is ignition by compression. So they have fewer heat losses compared to petrol engines, so they are more efficient. In layman's terms, they are more efficient compared to petrol engines. So they'll give you better fuel economy, better torque figures, and with turbocharging, the performance is actually quite good. So yes, diesel vehicles, wale watu watateseka ni probably if you own say a 100 series or a 200 series or a 79 na hujajipanga kimfuko. Kwa wenye wako nazo wamejipanga kimfuko, they are not likely to experience any problems with those vehicles. So yeah, electric vehicles will slowly get into the market, especially considering the Chinese presence that is in the country. Inaenda ikiendelea pole pole. Facts about electric vehicles is that they are easier to maintain compared to the ICE vehicles. They have fewer moving parts. So the only big challenge we have as a country is charging infrastructure. Tuendelee. Harmless Level also had a very interesting question, and it was, hey Eric, quick question, can one drive a left-hand drive car from Mombasa to Nairobi, and how can I do it safely? The question would be, have you imported a left-hand drive vehicle in Kenya? Because they are illegal. You cannot import a left-hand vehicle unless it's a special purpose vehicle. That is the only exemption. Can you drive it? Yes, you can. We have guys who do road trips and they come ama watu wa Rwanda, Southern Sudan, wakuja na left-hand drive vehicles. You can drive, but it's a challenge. I've driven in Burundi and Rwanda, where you have to keep right and less overtaking, and driving there in a left-hand vehicle is actually quite a challenge, especially with the overtaking. So you just have to use your driver instincts. Make sure you overtake only when it's clear. Also keep distance so that you have a view of also the oncoming vehicles. It should be tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes also a bit easy. Let's tuendelee. Dennis Kingori, we talked about the TIDA. Michael Nirango is saying, what are the pros and cons of the Mitsubishi RVR? The RVR is a subcompact crossover SUV. It has some good credibility on Kenyan roads. Pros, it's quite reliable. It has ground clearance, which is a major consideration for people who are buying cars in Kenya. The cons is it has a lot of road noise inside, and it is not what you would call really a performance vehicle. They are not fast. But for point A to point B, they are good vehicles. So yeah, if you're buying the RVR for point A to point B, it's a good car. Iko category moja na hizo akina Vezel. So it's not a performer, but it will get you from point A to point B. The other thing is that CVT transmission, if you push it too hard, sometimes it feels like you're stamping on a piglet. Kuna venye hizo CVTs yulia. Lulu Grandpa is typing while deleting. Moses Wangura asema Kondani. Francis Ndiritu, hi Eric, with all due respect, I hope you are doing fine. Shidewatu, with all due respect. Anyway, see what tulikuja Nairobi kutafuta. But I felt yes, he started well, but hakumaliza vizuri sana. So, and things with the current fuel prices, things are going to become very hard. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, hata tuliambiwa for those of us who loved doing night drives. So what you can do now is unatoka kwa balcony, unapiga nduru moja mbili, alafu unarudi kwa nyumba. And for you to see how serious this thing is, the fare from Nairobi to Murang'a, a distance of around 80 kilometers, is a whopping 450 shillings. Yeah, that's a lot. Considering mimi nikikuja Nairobi back then, hata si kitambo sana, 2019 fare kutoka Murang'a kwenda Nairobi ilikuwa so mbili. So in less than 7 years, the fare has doubled. That's a huge margin. So we still hope for the best. I hope that we'll find a solution. There is so much that we do not know, and I hope that we are going to have the transparency. The government is going to have the transparency to tell us what really is going on. Tuendelee. Tycoon PC has a very interesting question hapa. Tycoon PC P2C is saying, Mkuu, my question is between Subaru BP5 and Mark X, gani poa na Gen Z in terms of reliability, adrenaline, considering they are my only option. Personally, I would. Okay, let's look at the pros and cons. So one, the BP5, if you buy it as naturally aspirated, it's quite lazy and inakunywa sana, but BP5 is one of my favorite legacies. I would prefer to go BP9, the Outback. So BP5 is a bit, kama ni Nantabo, hiyo gari inakaa fiti sana, but kama ni Nantabo, it's quite lazy. It will not give you the thrill. So if you get a turbo one, it will give you the thrill. Once you're driving these two cars you have mentioned, fuel economy should not be top of priorities. However, the Mark X, especially the GRX 120, I always term it as one of the most underrated vehicles in Kenya, because Mark X's are very reliable, number one. Number two, they are very easy to maintain. Vitu za Mark X zinakuanga surprisingly affordable. Mambo ya fuel, GRX 120 doesn't have very good, we can't call it good fuel economy, but it's also very comfortable. That's another thing. And it has the looks. Now, the problem with GRX 120 ni the people who drive them au wanakuanga na maneno yao, so ndio wanapatia hiyo gari sifa mbaya. So if I was given the two, factoring in reliability, I would go for the GRX 120 if I was to compare it with the Outback. No, with the legacy BP5. The Outback is the BP9. So Francis Ndirit was saying, kindly advise on Toyota Townace, the old model, and the NV200 for first-time car buyer, considering reliability and fuel consumption. Well, one thing, the benefit of, you see, those old NV200, those old Townaces, ile ilikuwa inaitwa Nguruwe, wacha hii sasa hii iko na engine inaitwa 3SZ. Hiyo ni, it's a car that I love to hate, because the engine is not very reliable, very prone to overheating. The gearbox is also very problematic. Hizo ni zile gari watu wanatemeanga na matembe kwa mfuko. But the older Townace was good. It was a brilliant car, a workhorse. However, if you compare it to the NV200, the NV200 is more efficient, it's more modern, and it's a bit more refined. The only challenge with the NV200 is that bushes zinaisha sana, alafu Nissan zinakuanga tu na shida ya the ignition coils. And now with the NV200, you cannot test whether an ignition coil is working or not, because to reach the ignition coils, lazima utoe manifold. But given the two vehicles, I would gladly go for the NV200. Yeah. Tuendelee. Antis Mwans, naona he's in the house. Pat Wanjao saying, hello Eric, good evening sir. Kindly elaborate on the Proton X70 na ile cherry na ka RAV4. Proton X70 is Malaysian. It does run on a Geely drivetrain and powertrain, so that means it's very related to the Volvo, the Volvos with the 1.5 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, the one that is built on the SPA platform. These cars are very related, by the way. So the Proton is it's being sold 0 mileage by the dealer, Simba Cop Motors or Proton Kenya. It has been around for a while. The police have had it on lease. Sijasikia maneno yake. You know, when cars are not so many, even the probability of getting one that has broken down is also quite limited, and also getting first-hand information on those cars sometimes can be a bit of a challenge. Shifting to the Cherry, I think you're talking about the Cherry Tiggo Pro, something, Cherry Tiggo Pro. Cherry Tiggo, something like that. It's one of the Tiggos. Now, the Tiggos, again, these are the ever-growing Chinese presence on our Kenyan market. The Cherry is being sold by Caetano, and the pricing of the Cherries is very good. They also come with a warranty. I believe with time we are going to open up to buying these Chinese vehicles, because If the Chinese are bold enough to give you a 5-year warranty and you're buying these cars at the price of an 8-year-old Harrier, we might get tempted to buy them. But I know very soon I'll be driving the Tigo, so I'll give you more information once I drive the car. Sasa kupatiana information ya garage experience, although I do read a lot about these vehicles, especially in the Australian market and in the South African market, because the conditions there are closer to what we have in the country. In South Africa, these vehicles are actually very many. Ni mingi sana. South Africans have really embraced the Chinese vehicles, and that is because of the pricing aspect. So about the only challenge we have with these two cars that you have put here are they are not tried and tested. You have not had them for long enough to say that hii gari inakuanga na shida ABC, hii gari inakuanga na shida ABC. You see, the way you would say like the what do we call this car? The Nissan Sylphy G11 in a bubble dashboard. What we can say like the Toyota Mark IIs sometimes have ball joint issues. The Nissan NV2, it has not been here long enough for us to know. They have not been here. Both cars have not been here long enough for us to know what goes on with them when they are, when they start getting old. Although the design, I feel they are designed towards planned obsolescence. They are not designed to last that long. Ni gari ya, and if you look at their features, they tell you a lot. Ni gari ya kukaa nayo kidogo, unaachana nayo, unanunua gari ingine mpya. I'm also very afraid. I think it's an age thing, but I'm getting very afraid about the large. We are tipping the balance towards dangerous levels of extreme consumerism. Gone are the days when you would buy a car to keep it for 10 years. But there are still few of us who still drive those old cars. Antismo anasema, how are the E36s? I'm trying to look other directions. E36s were actually nice. I love E36s. Zilikuwa gari fiti sana. But depending on the engines that they came with, personally, I would prefer any straight six naturally aspirated E36. That one is the real deal. They were quite reliable if you got them in manual transmission, but they do require somebody who understands them, especially the technicians part. They are not the cars that you buy because you want to have a certain look. These are the cars that you buy out of passion. Mr. Chazes is saying, good evening. Is it advisable to get a Nissan Dualis as a first-time car? What its pro and cons? The problem with the Nissan Dualis, they're actually not bad. They are among the first popular subcompact crossover SUVs in Kenya. The only problem is that they have a problem with engine mounts. That's number one, what I know about Dualises. They also have the challenge of overheating gearboxes, the CVT, but that can be solved by installing an aftermarket cooler. But overall, their parts are not very expensive. So it's a car that you can consider owning, but know that even the fuel economy is not the best. So yeah, not bad. In fact, they are priced well. In fact, Dualis is quite cheap. But if you're thinking of buying a Dualis, I think you can be able to buy a Nissan X-Trail T31. I feel it would be a more viable option comparing it to the Dualis. Rafael Wambugu is saying, how is a J95? What version should I avoid? Rafael Wambugu, if you're buying a Toyota Prado J95, one thing you should know is that they come with a dual mass flywheel. So that's something you need to really take care of. Those flywheels are expensive, and once they go kaput, they can cause a lot of juddering. The other thing about J95s is if you can get the ones that came with the later versions of the J95, some of them came with the 1D, but there were very few. If you don't get one with that, buy one with the 1KZ. But generally, they are amazing cars. They didn't have too many electronics that can go wrong. I believe the J95 was one of the most beautiful Prados to ever zile zilitengenezwa. In fact, for me, transitioning from the J95 to the J120, I felt that Toyota went down with the design, because the J95, it remained with the boxiness of the previous generation of the Prado, and still had a modern touch of refinement. So yeah, it's one of the most iconic Prados that now bridge the gap between ruggedness, luxury, and utilitarian nature of these 4x4. So yeah, it's definitely a good car. If you're not afraid of spending money on fuel, you can buy the petrol one with the RZ engine. But if you can get one that has the 1KD, get it. If you don't find that one, because those ones with the 1KD were very rare, na zilikuwa zile za mwisho, buy one with the 1KZ diesel engine. It's not fast, but it looks the part, and it will also get the work done. Rafael Wambugu anasema, what are the pros and cons? Okay, I think I've talked about that. Omogambi is saying, hello Eric, does it make sense to buy a Tenza 2 liter at 2.6 million, or just get a CX5 diesel? This is a discussion that many people are not willing to have, but it's not a matter of making economic sense, it's a matter of preferences, because there are people who prefer sedans to crossover SUVs, especially those people who do not go off-road or who do not require ground clearance. Although the state of Kenyan roads currently, you desperately need that ground clearance. So I feel it's not a matter of making economic sense, because remember, personal vehicles are bought emotionally, they are not bought logically. So for that, I feel that if you're looking at a Tenza versus CX5, I feel that's more of a preference kind of question. Do you prefer a sedan, or do you prefer a crossover SUV? Karota Uganda is saying, good evening family, karibu sana Karota Uganda from Seboland. Peter Nganga from the Republic of Saudi Arabia is in. Mkusu 12 is saying, hello Okabi, between a Mazda CX5 2.5 versus a Toyota Vanguard V6 for the first time owner, I would definitely go for the Mazda CX5 2.5 any day, anytime. It has the advantage of gearbox, it's more refined, it's more modern, and it has better fuel economy compared to the Vanguard V6. Jilidwell is saying, hi Eric, locked in from Nakuru. This week was indeed trying. At this rate, itabidi tafute gari hata kama ni ya kusukuma bora ifike. You need to review magari mdudu kama budget ziko 300k bro. Yeah, that one I'm working on. Kama umerealize, even the TIDA nilipeleka gari at least, yeah. Vehicles that people, economics times are not easy. So I'm also looking at vehicles that people would buy and survive with them, even when times are hard, because mobility is no longer a luxury. Mobility these days is a necessity. Kithi Jose is saying, hey Okabi, talk about Honda Stream as a daily drive and fuel consumption. Honda Stream, I love the vehicle. It's quite practical. It looks good. The only problem you might have, it's also very reliable. The only problem is it does not do score very high when it comes to okay. Yes, Dave's Balian, how reliable Suzuki Vitara all grip? In fact, that's the Suzuki Vitara. We have imported two for our clients, and these are good cars. I drove one from Mombasa to Nairobi. And one thing about the Vitaras is that, one, all grip, very good 4x4 system. Then the Suzuki may have, the Escudo stroke Vitara may have grown smaller in size, but they put in a 6-speed automatic transmission, a 1.4 liter turbocharged engine that is on the Suzuki Swift. In fact, we have that review on the channel. And now the good thing is that it might be smaller, but it's more economical. It's more economical, it's fun to drive, and well, it might not be very fancy inside or very luxurious, but it's a good vehicle. It's a vehicle that you're going to enjoy. Also, it has some good off-road capabilities. Paul Kimemi is saying, hey CK, what are the common problems of Subaru turbo engines from early 2000s? Paul Kimemi, those common problems have something to do with the head gasket. In fact, most people still make fun of Subarus having blown head gaskets. Yeah. Eric Wanyuke is saying, Mambo Eric, iko jamaa, he needs help kurekebisha Mazda CX-5, anaitwa Explore TV. Mwambia to link up. Mwambia to link up. My number is 0710-844-863. Kama ako Nairobi anaweza kuja hapa Prince Drive Garage, kama ako Eldoret and Union Mobility pale. Alafu, what's the problem with the CX-5? Is it petrol? Is it diesel? Talk to us. Antismo is saying, is it making sense to sell a Corolla Axio A140 for 990k? Kuna mahali niliona 2012 being sold at that price. I believe you can get very good crossovers. Funny thing is that these Axios are very expensive. They are quite pricey. Also, Auris PI is quite pricey. And there are three kinds of people you cannot advise. One is a person who wants to buy a Toyota Premio 260, a person who wants to buy a Toyota Fielder or a Toyota Axio, mtu anataka kununua Toyota Auris. Au ni watu wezi advice. Those are people who you cannot have a value discussion with. Au ni wale wanakuambia gari ni Toyota na anataka hiyo. So it's even hard. Something I've experienced. It's more of a generational issue, because I have somebody who called in last week and he wanted an Axio. And I asked him, since you're a young man, why do you want an Axio? You can buy, for the price an Axio is selling for, you can buy an Axela. And he said, no, mi nataka Axio. Hiyo ndio nataka. There is no specific reason why they want that car, but they know mimi nataka Axio. So that is how that is how funny some of these things are. So that's why I keep on telling. It's more emotional than logical. It's more than beats the eye. Yakuza anasema press Kindochi. Santi. David Kamondo is saying, hi Wakabi, your views about Toyota raised the Hatsu Rocky 2019. They're amazing cars. They look good. They have a little bit of ground clearance. Yeah, I love it. There is a nice car. They are funky little cars. Yeah, Yakuza anasema subscribe to the channel. Yes, please do subscribe to the channel. David Kamaumaina is saying, why are the prices of the newer Subaru so overrated? I saw one being sold as 4.8, whereby you can get a Lexus to an automatic CVT in the Subaru. Newer Subarus are so boring. David Kamau, which Subaru was being sold for 4.8? Because that's serious upselling. Ni ya mwaka gani? Because if it's a 2019, 2020, it doesn't make sense. Because those vehicles, if you buy the SK9, it's going for between 3.3 to 3.6 million Kenya shillings. So, yeah, 4.8 sijui ni gani. Unless it's a very new Subaru. Stephen Murithi is saying, hello Wakabi, locked in from Meru, Honda Fit or Mazda Demio, looking for fuel economy. Kuna kitu inapiga kelele hapa. Very nice. So, hello Wakabi, locked in from Meru, Honda Fit, Mazda Demio, looking for fuel economy and a little patch of power, locally used. The Honda Fit is good because it has more space compared to the Mazda Demio. That's one advantage of the Honda Fit, but the Mazda Demio has the advantage of performance, especially the DJ series of the Mazda Demio mpya hii new shape, hiyo performance iko juu ya Fit na mbali sana, but now the Fit has the advantage of space. Tuendelee. Wilfred Waire is saying, hi Eric, locked in from Nakuru. How is Nissan B14 for a first time car buy? It's a good vehicle. Strangely, it's a really nice vehicle, but you have to make sure haijachokorwa. Yeah, make sure your gari haijachokorwa ukinunua. David Kamau Maina, facelifted 2025 D-Max reached South Africa, and they said that Africa will not get the 2.2 liter RZF, but they revised the 1.9 with a bigger turbo. Yeah, that is true. And also some markets like Australia wana complain sana kuhusu the 1.9 RZ4E, but generally for a local D-Max, the advantage has been, one of the advantages of this 1.9 the RZ4E has been fuel consumption, because the fuel consumption is quite impressive, especially for somebody who wants to mtu ataka kufanya kazi. Sawa. Ayub Mugambi is saying, hello Eric with a CK, kindly touch a little bit on Nissan Wing Road Y10 for a first time car owner. Y10s were not very bad, they were quite hardy. If you get a clean one, they're also very well priced. DJ Rider is saying, please say something about this Toyota Hiluxes from 2018. There has never been a problem with it. I love, no, okay, kupenda kando, but Hiluxes are some of the most reliable vehicles in the world. They are workhorses. Joseph Mega is saying, good evening, Eric. I can see you kwa kikombe, leo niko kwa debe. What are the pros and cons of the J120 diesel? J120 diesel, probably the best, actually not probably, it's the best variant of the Toyota Prado J120 that you can get. They came with 2 diesel options, actually 3. There was the 5L, there's the 5L diesel engine, the 3-liter naturally aspirated. There was the 1KZ, the 3-liter turbo with a rotary pump, and now there was the 3-liter 1KD. If you're looking for the best engine among the 3 diesel options, go for the 1KD. But the cons are you have to take care of those injectors. When it comes to abuse, the 5L was very reliable, could stand a lot of abuse. Yona ni gari unge abuse sana, and still would still take the abuse, and ingeendelea na kazi. However, it was very slow and very loud. But ukienda hapa kwa 1KZ had the tendency of overheating. It was also a bit noisy, but the best that combined power, refinement, and fuel economy was the 1KD. So if you're getting a Prado J120 diesel, I would highly recommend the one with the 3-liter 1KD FTV engine. Tuendelee. Good writer saying, hi Eric, my Honda Airwave is consuming a lot, 10 kilometers to the liter. What could be the reason for this high consumption? First culprit, angalia spark plugs, oxygen sensor. Then those are the 2 primary culprits. But ni vizuri pia uende to the garage and get a very good diagnosis on the car, because there are so many factors that would cause bad fuel economy. Rafael Ambugu, Eric, what's the reasonable price for a clean J95? It depends where you're buying it from and also the trim, but your gari is between 800,000 all the way to 1.2 million Kenya shillings. Mofa is saying, what car would you advise a 45-year-old lady with a budget of 600 to 750 to get? One, you can get a Nissan Note E12 if you're spending 750,000. You can get an 11 if you're around up 650. You can also get a Nissan Tida S11. Hapo pia unaweza tafuta, what was this Toyota called? You can get, I think with that budget pia unaweza pata. The problem with Toyota is that you're going to get old vehicles akina what do you call them, Ranex, but you can get if you're looking for vehicles that are not very old, probably get a Nissan Tida S11, get a Nissan Note E12, because this money is enough to buy you an E12. Na pia unaweza nunua Honda Fit, a non-hybrid, for within this budget range. So yeah, you're spoiled for choice. It only depends on what are you looking for. Are you looking for space? Are you looking for fuel economy? Because there's quite a lot. But top of the list, top from my head, is get a Honda Fit, the 2nd gen. You can also get a Mazda Demio kale kamayai. You can also get the Nissan Note E12 if you're looking for a very, very new car. Gari ingine unaweza pata ni Honda Insight, but if you think of buying a Honda Insight, also take good, tafuta mtu anajua kufanya hizi hybrid diagnostics, and that's why we still offer pre-purchase inspection services, so you can always call us in case you're buying a car and you are unsure of its condition. Eric Onyuke saying, Defender ya right imebonda, it's a new CX5, we have 2-liter freshly import na naogopa inyoroshwe. Hiyo ni kazi rahisi, unaweza peleka pale kwa Donga Car Bakery pia, ama hapa kwa Maura he has a paint booth. Fenda ni kununua tu ingine kama utaki nyoroshwe. Simple job. Peter Odida is saying, hey CK, talk about the 2019 onwards Honda Insight 2-motor hybrid system, potential issues. To be honest, this is probably the best Honda Insight that Honda has made. One, they ditched the dual clutch transmission for an eCVT, which is a CVT transmission that is made up of a planetary gear set. So that makes it more reliable and more suitable for high torque applications, unlike the CVTs that are mostly the conventional CVTs with the belt and pulley system. So yeah, it's a car that I would actually advise you to buy. Yeah, they are nice. You know, if their hybrid batteries are lithium ion, so that tells you they can survive for a very long time. So yes, it's a great car. Tepela is saying, hi Eric, how is the Toyota Spatio A111 for a first time car? It's a great car. You are taina maneno mbili. Hi CK, my Mark X GRX 120 ukiweka original spark plug from Toyota, you can get 9 kilometers per liter city driving. Hata unaweza pata hata 10. Bora uende city driving tricky kidogo, but highway you can get up to 11, and even sometimes I know people who have done 12, but city driving 9 were satisfied. Ikienda sana 10. Joe Thiongo is saying, what are the pros and cons between these three vehicles? C200 below 2011, J120 and Crown. Which one would say is a better choice? So you see now, Joe Thiongo, this is I would say an unfair comparison, because here we are talking about semi-luxury sedans and 4x4s. So I think hapa kitu ya kwanza ni kwanza jua unataka gani. Do you want a sedan or do you want a 4x4? I think that's where, because now if we answer all these questions, pros and cons, because so unasema C200, which is basically, if it's below year of manufacture 2011, that is a W204, J120 and Crown. J120 iko na engine options tano pekee kwa J120. C200 I believe unapatana 271. Crown, it's a 2.5. So you see, this is a very unfair comparison, because these cars are very different in character. So I believe first of all is decide whether you want a sedan or 4x4, because you can't be comparing both, because these are cars that are very different in terms of character. So you start by defining, what do I want in a car? Kevin Ndoro is saying, bro, what would be the best car for first time car owner around 500k manual if possible? Magari sana ni mingi hapo bro. Tell me what you're looking for. Hizo magari ni mingi. If we start listing them, there are so many. So it's hard to say the best. Sometimes it's good to say, I'm looking for a sedan, a hatchback, with space, or for sure. Kuna vitu mingi sana. Regan Thai saying, hi CK, think of buying an MK2 short wheelbase Pajero with a 4D56. They are going for a very good prices comparatively. What can you advise on them? Those probably the best thing you can get for yourself, but make sure ukizibuy, one, they don't have rust, and two, the 4D56 engine is in good condition, because if it's not in good condition, it's in rebuildable condition, because these engines 4D56 are not cheap. So usichukue engine unapata imebuildiwa mara tatu. Kama it needs an overhaul, just make sure it's probably kienda sana imeoverhauliwa just once, and this will be the second time. We proceed. Moses Wangura is saying, how is Nissan March K12 in terms of reliability? Wachana nayo. Nissan March inaweza kupanda mahindi kwa kichwa na ime. From fuel pump issues to gearbox issues. They are very cheap, but I don't think I would advise you to buy a Nissan March. We proceed. William Martins, Eric, Subaru XV 1500cc versus 2000. We don't have a Subaru XV with 1500cc's of displacement. The one that is there is 1600cc, not 1500. if you are to ask me 1600 versus 2 liter, I would go for the 2 liter because the 1600cc is lazier than a sitting member of parliament. Kenya Modo is saying, boss, is it possible to import a shell or a body of a car that is over 8 years without cutting into pieces, either from Japan or neighboring East African countries? That's a very, yes, it is possible, but that is only possible for a vehicle that has a body on frame design because of the chassis number. You cannot import one that has a monocoque chassis kama gari ndogo, because hiyo lazima ukate, because the chassis number is actually on the frame. So not unless ni body ya gari kama Prado, say Prado, Fortuner, pickup, hizo unaweza import because the chassis is independent, the chassis and the body are independent. But gari ndogo kama Fielder, you cannot, because that will be literally be importing another car. We have other news saying, what of the W124 with the current times? W124, kama unataka ya kusurvive, if you have deep pockets, you can buy one even with the FD. But if you're looking for fuel economy and a bit of refinement, buy the later versions of the W124 that came with the 111 engine. They were reliable. They didn't have so many problems with the FD system. Zilikuwa za electric fuel injection. They were not FD. Hizo za FD zilikuwa zinapatia watu crisis. But I would say buy the 124 with the 111. It will give you peace of mind. But all in all, you cannot expect the 124 to give you the fuel economy of a modern vehicle. Tundele Zibeshti is saying, with a budget of 500k, which reliable pickup would you recommend locally used? Buy a Toyota Hilux LN85. Hiyo utapata na hiyo bei. But ni ngumu utatafuta, because these LN85s are going for like 700, 650 huko. So if it's not an LN85, you can buy the previous generation. Hizo utapata ma pickup mzee. But if you want newer pickups, you can go for the Nissan hardbody with the TD27. I'm sure unaweza pata inakaribia hiyo bei. You can go for the Mitsubishi L200, unaweza pata pia inakaribia hiyo bei na yenye si mzee sana. Jane Nyiha is saying, Mazda CX-5 2-liter petrol fuel consumption. So this is a very relative question, but I have driven a Mazda CX-5 with a 2.5-liter petrol engine around Mount Kenya, and I even took it to Lake Ellis. The average fuel consumption was roughly 12 to 13 kilometers per liter. So if it's highway driving and you are driving a 2-liter CX-5, utafika hadi 14. But ukienda kwa milima, it becomes a little bit lazy, so you have to push it kidogo. So I will give you, for a 2-liter CX-5, you can get between 12 and 14 because they are quite efficient as well. Ukisukuma sana, itaenda to 10. But even the 2.5-liter CX-5s, sometimes they'll get you, driving it itakufikisha 12. So yeah, and the 2.5s are more loaded. But if you're looking for the 2-liter CX-5s, are mostly basic because ni ile inaitwa proactive, so haina features mob, but it's a good car. It's reliable. It may not be fast, but it will get you there. So fuel economy between 12 to 14 kilometers to the liter, depending on the condition of the car and also driving habits. Alan Leka is saying, hi bro, how is Suzuki Swift 2013? Looking for one. Angalia gearbox sana, because those CVTs sometimes can be a problem. If you get a manual, the best. If you can't drive a manual and you want a Swift, make sure you check on that gearbox thoroughly. Dad Jero is saying, hi CK, would be interested to review Kuni. Niko na moja safi sana. Kuni gani? Kevin Doro is saying, hatchback around 500k, daily driver preferably manual. Hapo unaweza pata well, I don't like them much because they are not very economical. The Subaru Impreza GG2s, you can get Peugeot 208, not 208, 206. 206 unaweza pata na hiyo bei, manual kazuri sana. One of our mechanics hapa on the channel, Suleiman, has one of them and it's serving him very well. The other vehicle you can look for, you can get a manual Nissan Tida. They are there. In fact, they are priced very well. Na hiyo ni gari itakusaidia na ikunywa hata kidogo. You can buy a Toyota Corolla A111 manual, A110 for that price. So ziko, because or if you are lucky, you can get an NZD that is NZD ni sedan. So Subaru GG2, and if you're getting it, get it with the EJ15, not the EL. Sometimes inasumbuanga. So tumesema hiyo GG2. We can also look at the TIDA manuals, the hatchback manuals. You can look for the first gen Mazda Axela. I believe there are quite a number zilikuwa manual, and you can get it for like 550. And these are very nice cars. The other vehicle that would be there, you can get a Lancer manual. No, Lancers were sedans. So gani ingine, gari mzuri, anza na hizo tatu, depending on budget inakuwa. Also ukipata Nissan Note 11 manual, good as well. CK, can one merge the old gearbox 1NZ FE with the current one, with the current CVT 1NZ engines? No, you can't, because of issues are very different. Because if you are to use the older automatic gearbox, that's a 4-speed auto. This one is a CVT. So meaning even the program, the mapping is different. There are quite a few number of things that are different. So it's not a straightforward fix. I've seen guys in Embu wale wase wameguka wanachukua hizo gari, wananunua engine na gearbox, computer, wiring harness of the older Probox, and they put it in the newer one, but it does not make economic sense. So in a price of spares, you just live with it, because they are not that bad. They can also withstand a little bit of abuse, but their gearboxes are quite pricey. Breeze was saying, hello, I'm Brian doing mechanical engineering. Can I get a spot for attachment? Brezo, you can reach out to us on 0710 844 863. Send us a WhatsApp message, tell us where you're from, and we will see whether we can get a spot for you. Yeah, if you're serious with internship. Now, one thing, let me tell you guys, if we have had so many people coming in asking for internships, but wase, passion comes first. In this job, don't come in with kujua venye utado. Hapana, kwanza kuja hapa na passion in mind. Love the car first, and the rest will follow. Because some jobs can be very frustrating. So Ian Duncan Mudengi is saying, hey Eric, how reliable is the Lexus LS series and also Mazda 6 year models 2008 to 2013? What are the common problems? They are not bad cars, but now it depends on what engine they are running on. So that we can go down on the problems. The engine, we need to know which engine they are running on. Hi Eric, between Mazda 3 and Honda Insight, both 2019, which one will you recommend for a lady? Personally, I would go for the Mazda 3 because especially the 1500cc petrol, there is little that would go wrong. Yes, the Insight is good. It's quite a look, very economical on fuel, but with the kind of electronics in it, if I'm looking for a car that will give me peace of mind, I will shift towards the Mazda 3 kidogo. Martin Yanumba is saying, hey Eric, between Mazda 3 and Honda, hiyo nimejibu. Evans anasema, Wakabi, how is the W204 M271 2008 2011? Pros and cons. They were nice cars. They were very economical on fuel, had that punch of performance, and interestingly, you have to really take care of the seals. Your gari, if you're replacing seals, just do all of them, because once they start leaking, the leakages can be quite hideous, especially on a Mercedes-Benz. And you see now that's an ostentatious car. Well, no, sorry to say, the W204 is not exactly an ostentatious Benz. It's more of an entry-level Benz. But anyway, you don't want it leaking all over. But they are nice cars. If you're buying one, make sure it's clean. Make sure the engine is not leaking. Or if you take risks, make sure you've bought it for the right price so that you're not overspending money. Ekao Miss is saying, between a Corolla Cross and the Yaris Cross, which is a better car? The Corolla Cross is bigger. It has more space compared to Yaris Cross, but the Yaris Cross also looks really nice. So in terms of, the differentiation is very limited. But if you ask me, I would go for a Corolla Cross, because a Corolla Cross is, yes, both are reliable, but I feel the Cross, from my experience with the Cross, is it's a much more familiar platform, especially the ones with the 2ZR 1800cc engines. They feel more familiar. The Yaris is still quite young in the market, the Yaris Cross, but the Corolla Cross has more space, because the Yaris Cross is slightly smaller than the Corolla Cross. So personally, they are both great cars, but if you were to ask me, I would go for the Corolla Cross, mostly because it's a more familiar platform, number one. Number two is that it does share quite a few things with comparing it to some other vehicles on Toyota's lineup. Secondly, it gives a little bit more of space, which is a good thing, by the way. Alafu, most importantly, it's not okay. There are people who would love the Yaris Cross for being flashy, but the more mature folk would prefer the Toyota Corolla Cross because it has a touch of class and also maturity. So the reason why personally I would choose the Cross is because, one, it does not shout. Secondly, the familiarity, and third, it has more space compared to the Yaris. The Yaris is good looking, but it is what it is. Yeah, both are good cars. Again, it's a matter of preference and also budget as well. Kevin Curry is saying, "Hi, I was doing a research on which is the best school vocation training I can learn about mechanics, especially in modern days. It's as if most institutions are still teaching the old cars." Yeah, that is true, and that is why soon we might be doing something in the line of that. But stay kuspil beans mapema. Yeah, but the problem with most TVET institutions, wanasoma na gari ya carburetor wakati manze tunaenda electric. Yani, what happens, and this is another problem. By the way, let me tell you guys before I leave, because sababu masaa inakimbia and I have to rush somewhere. One thing about the kind of interns we are getting, mtu on paper ako sawa, anafanya mechanical engineering, mwambie abadilishe brake pads, hawezi. Muulize oil pump inafanyanga nini, hawezi kuambia. Muulize what does ABS do, hawezi kuambia, sababu alienda kusoma huko na Datsun 1200. Needs to be done actually with our education system. We really need to change our ways. So last two questions. Benedict Mashare, which one would you choose between an S7 and a CLS 53? Personally, I would go for the personal opinion, but they are both good cars. Drake Kevin tuned in from South Africa. Thank you so much, Drake Kevin. Nashukuru sana. Mudhe Cairo is tuned in from Saudi Arabia. So guys, it has been an amazing show. Lakini kesho jioni kuna show inakuja. We have a show coming up from 8 p.m. So stay hooked. Also remember to subscribe, na pia kama hii live inakubamba, weka super chat. Sawa. Over and out, and good night. See you next Wednesday, same time, same place. But remember, tomorrow we have an episode coming your way.